Thank you all for coming. I want to welcome you to Reed's Landing. My name is Susan Moore, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for the Loomis Communities. And Loomis is a organization, a nonprofit organization that has 4 retirement communities now. Loomis House in Holyoke, Loomis Village in South Hadley, Applewood at Amherst, and as of August of 2009, Reed's Landing in Springfield. So we are thrilled to be here. We're thrilled to have all of you here for our Me Time event. I hope you've had an opportunity to visit with all of our vendors. If you have stayed close to the lobby and the living room, I want to remind you that on the 2 wings of the building on the side, there are vendors down both of those wings as well. So if you haven't had an opportunity to get down there, please do, because they deserve your attention as well, and they've got some terrific giveaways for you. We are very pleased tonight to have Dave Horgan with us, who's going to be speaking to you. Dave is a local author. He lives in Ludlow, and he has written a book about his experience when he moved his mother-in-law into his house. And I think it's safe to say that Dave would have rethought the whole experience if he had 20/20 vision. True story? Yeah. Yeah. So thank you all again for coming, and please join me in welcoming Dave Horgan.
How's everybody doing tonight? Isn't this a great event?
Yes.
It's an absolutely beautiful facility. So I've been a caregiver for the past 15 years. And my caregiving experience started with my Uncle Al. He was about 80 years old, and I used to go over to his house and I'd pay some bills. And it wasn't that difficult in the beginning because it was pretty much us going down to the Foxwoods Casino and playing slot machines for the balance of the day. So, you know, that's how I started becoming a caregiver. And it was somewhere around that time that my Aunt Helen called me up. And she said, I understand you've been going over to Al's house. Could you come and stop by my house once in a while? So I said, oh, absolutely. Now, my Aunt Helen always had some kind of a crisis going on. You know, broken window in the basement, some kind of a flood, there's water all over the place. Newspapers are all sopped up from 1975. And I will say, my Aunt Helen was a great collector. You know, some people collect Hummels, commemorative plates, okay? That's what my Aunt Helen did. I swear there were 10,000 Tupperware containers down in that. Every time you went to fix something, they'd fall over, and you know. And she also had a lot of canned goods down there. I think if there was some kind of a nuclear fallout, we'd all want to get down in Aunt Helen's basement and canned goods and Tupperware. Now, my Uncle Don was living with Helen at the time, and he was still driving with Alzheimer's. So you can imagine, I'm a caregiver, I'm taking care of Al, going down to the casino, doing the slot machines. I'm taking care of Aunt Helen and her Tupperware collection, and Uncle Don is driving the car. And at one point I started realizing that I was just giving and giving and giving of myself. And I wasn't taking care of myself. And that's a lot about what tonight is all about, this event. Oops, let me back up. That's Aunt Helen. She was still allowed to drive. I had to throw that in. I found that online. I thought that was just fantastic. So somewhere along the way, I came upon a book called The Complete Elder Care Planner by Joy Laverde. And this is pretty much the Bible. If you're a caregiver, I would suggest that you get this book. And Joy and I talked. I went out to Chicago and I interviewed her. And she talked about how caregivers give of themselves. And they think that this is some kind of a selfless thing that we do. We take care of our moms and our dads and our wives and our children, and we forget to take care of ourselves first. And the truth is, if we don't care for ourselves first, we end up not doing anybody any favors. Right? Anybody have this experience? Giving a little too much? And losing yourself in the process? So 5 years ago, my wife came to me and said, what would you think about having my mom come and move in with us? So now add this to the list, right? We got Al in the casinos, we got Helen with the Tupperware, we got Uncle Don that's driving with Alzheimer's, and my mother-in-law is going to put an addition on the house and move in. Can you imagine? It got to be a lot. And I remember looking around at the time for resources, thinking if I'm going to have a parent move in, I want to do this the right way. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find a single book on the subject of having a parent come to move in with you. So I got together with this friend of mine, Shira Block. She was an author and a dear friend. I said, I think we should write a book about the process of having a parent come to move in and everything that you have to go through. Because people don't make this decision when things are calm. For the most part, they make this decision at a time of crisis. Right? Mom has fallen and slipped, she's in the hospital, and everybody gathers in at the corner and they say, you know, what are we going to do about Mom? Well, you take her because you got the biggest house, right? It's not a reason to move a parent in. And there's so much involved in the process. Now, why did my mother-in-law want to move in? Because she was afraid of the dreaded nursing home, right? Everybody know the stigma, the dreaded nursing home. The fact is, I think everyone has seen tonight, and if you haven't, take a good look around, because assisted living has come a long way. I came and toured this facility and I said, I'll move in tomorrow. I'm not kidding, this place is fantastic. That's a great shot. It reminds me, my Uncle Al, when he was in rehab, 90 years old, we said, why don't you go in there? They got an activity. Why don't you go hang out with those guys, have some fun? He said, I don't want to go in there with all those old people. They were 20 years younger than him. All right, so what was she looking for? She wanted companionship. And I think she felt she was going to get that by moving into our house. Companionship. Her daughter's there, her other daughter's up the street. Well, as it turns out, you know, her kids had their own lives. They didn't have time to spend with Mom because they're running around going to soccer games and they're doing things with their husbands. So here, the one thing she was hoping she'd get above everything, companionship, she got the least of. Once again, she didn't get what she was looking for by moving in. And that's the kind of stuff that she would have gotten if she had looked at an assisted living facility. Extra care, health care. I'm not going to use this microphone, I don't like the sound of it. I can bring you a blanket. I can make you soup. I can take your temperature. But if you need something more than that, I'm not your guy. And neither is your daughter. In an assisted living facility, you have access to these kind of things. And it becomes important. We had so many rides to the emergency room at 2 and 3 a.m. that I remember the first time it happened, neighbors were coming out, there's flashing lights, and everybody's all freaking out. You know, Grandma can't breathe, we got to get her down to the hospital. By the 4th and 5th time, it got to be this regular routine. It's like, you know, the guys would come in and would say, hey, Charlie, you know, back there. You already know, you know the path, you know how to do this, right? Because we did it so many times. So again, that was something that she really didn't get by moving in with us. She didn't get that kind of health care that she needed, especially as she got older and her health got a little bit worse. And activities. There were some activities at our house, you know, the kids would play guitar and there'd be, some family dinners, but not the kind of activities that I think she was really looking for. Which again, you know, if you come to a place like Reed's Landing and you're with your contemporaries, you know, I think that's a big thing. You want to hang out with people your own age. That's where you have the most fun, like these guys. That woman, I think, is having a little too much fun. It looks like she's almost on the verge of a heart attack or something. And it turns out that, you see what she's holding on. Everybody knows what the Wii device is. Have you seen Wii? Yeah. That is a really big thing in assisted living now. People are playing the Wii games that, you know, I think were designed for 7-year-old kids, but hey, you know. So again, this is the image of the nursing home. That's what people have in the back of their head. You're going to put me somewhere. And the fact is, I think it's a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. I put this slide up because who knows, right? Maybe you might even meet somebody. Come to a place where you find your contemporaries. Nothing wrong with that, right? And there's a nice little slide. You know what I thought was interesting when I put this in my presentation? This is the front of Reed's Landing. It looks like a house. You know what I mean? And this place feels like a home, a very nice home. My house is nowhere near as clean as this place.